Welcome back to the channel. Once again, this is Hectarios, Witch of the Realms. For this video, I wanted to come on and do a little bit of a chit chat and just share some paranormal experiences I've had with the Samhain Halloween Sabbath veil thinning and all of that. So that's what this video is going to be. Just a little chit chat. I hope that you guys had a great Sabbath, a great Halloween, and All Souls Day, All Saints Day as well. I guess I'll talk about that first with my paranormal experiences. The first thing that started off, I had a situation. I posted about this in the Empowerment for Witches Coven, my Facebook group, already, but I'm going to go ahead and share it here as well. I had an experience where I was sort of by synchronicity or by coincidence, I was watching this like old show that I used to watch with one of my friends who was a witch as well, that passed away in 2017, and there was a part that was showing up on that show. Well, first of all, as I was watching the show, I started from season 1 and I was like going through the episodes, and I was just like reminiscing about my friend and sort of missing hanging out with them and watching the show together, and that was in the back of my mind the whole time I was watching it. But it got to this part that we used to always just bust out laughing at because it was so dramatic. Like the character says this line, and that would be like the thing that we would laugh at the most. And it was really weird. I was thinking about my friend heavily during that part, and I was watching this on Amazon Prime Video, and it's like something glitched all of a sudden. Like I'd been watching all the way up to this is like the 7th episode, and nothing had ever gone wrong or anything. But all of a sudden on this exact part, it glitched and like rewound itself, and to where the character said that line again, and I was like, that was very peculiar, because if my friend is around right now, that is definitely something that we would have done just to laugh at that part again. So I was like, okay, definitely this person is around me. So I just like kind of stopped, and I was like, okay, I want to try to connect with this person a little bit. So I ended up lighting an offering of a candle to him. I pulled out some old pictures and, was looking at him, just reminiscing and stuff like that. Lit a candle as an offering, like I said. That was basically it. I just did a little ceremony like that. And this was a few days before Halloween, by the way, when all this took place. But anyway, here's where it gets a little bit darker, because that specific friend, we sort of had like a frenemy relationship. Like we would be off and on friends and then not friends because of a lot of dramatic stuff that would happen. Our friendship was, kind of one of those toxic type friendships where we would, get in arguments or disagreements and things like that, but then we'd always come back around to be friends again. It was that type of relationship. However, there was a lot of things that person did that really just rubbed me the wrong way many times. So I'll just say it like that because I don't want to disrespect the dead, right? But there was some things that I took issue with quite frequently. However, at the end of the day, I still miss that person. We were still friends, and we still had, a lot of good and happy memories. So what ended up happening, though, was that night, as I was going to sleep, I still felt that person's spirit around me. And as I was going to sleep, I started to feel the onset symptoms of like a sleep paralysis coming on. If you had that before, or if you have it often in your life, like you can tell when it's about to happen, and you can sort of snap yourself out of it. At least that's how it works for me. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to snap yourself out of it, but if you catch it soon enough, if you could tell that it's about to happen, you can like snap yourself out of it before it happens. Well, I started to feel that, and I kept like snapping myself out of it, and then I would start to feel it start to come on again, and it started to feel like it wasn't just a sleep paralysis. It started to feel like it was actually a spiritual attack. And I've had sleep paralysis enough in my life to where it doesn't scare me like it would most people. Like if you just research sleep paralysis, a lot of people feel fear and all of that, whatever, because they don't understand it, because they haven't had it many times in their life to sort of get used to it. But for me, I've been through it enough that it doesn't scare me just in and of itself when it starts. In fact, I kind of enjoy it because it helps me lead into astral projection and helps me to have spirit visitors in my room, while I'm sort of in that in-between state, and I'll be able to converse with them and stuff like that. So I rather enjoy it. It doesn't scare me. However, in this particular experience, I did start to feel like it was an attack happening because I could feel my friend's presence, and it started to feel like he was trying to actually like overtake my mind or like possess me or something. It was so weird, but I really don't know how else to explain it. It felt like an intruding presence trying to come into me or come over me, and I felt like it was him. So after I felt that sensation and deduced that that's what was happening, I prayed to Hecate to, if there was any sort of harm or negative intention with whatever was happening, that she would send it away, banish him, and only allow good spirits to be around me. That was what I prayed and what my intention was. And immediately after that, it stopped and it didn't happen again. And I was able to just go to sleep like normal. However, I did end up having some dreams about him that were kind of freaky as well. Like there was one where, what was the first one? Because there was two different dreams. The first one was kind of like odd because it was kind of like a fuzzy dream. Like I can't really remember exactly the things that took place, but it felt like he was like in the background, sort of just like hovering, loitering around in the background. Like it wasn't really much to it other than that. In the second dream though, I was actually like one-on-one with him. I felt like he was trying to lead me somewhere into this forest, into these woods, and I had this sort of standoffish energy towards him at this point because of the experiences that I've already had, recently. And so in this dream state, I was like, side-eyeing him, but I was still like interested. So I did follow him, but he led me to these woods, and I saw, y'all are gonna think this is so weird, and I think it's weird too, but I saw this white horse. It was headless. And it was like charging, running by us. It was so bizarre. Ran past us, basically, and then out of view. And then right after that, I saw like an owl flying, and it flew past us as well. And at that point, that's when I got a little bit more intrigued because horses and owls are sacred to goddess Hecate. And so I was like, why is Hecate's influence in this dream all of a sudden? That's weird. So I got a little bit more intrigued, but I was still like not sure what to make of this. So anyways, at that point though, he started walking down into the woods. At that point, he was acting strange. Like it seemed, there was just something fishy about him. Like he was like looking at me, like almost with a smirk or a devilish smile about it. Like he was pleased with himself with something. It was so like creepy and like fishy and suspicious. So I stopped following him at the edge of the forest, but I watched him walk down this like hill into the woods, and there was like a creek or something, and he walked across that and out of sight around the corner, right? And I was looking down there, and it was like nighttime in stream. I was shining a flashlight, and I saw his flashlight turned off, and I was like, okay, what the hell? And all of a sudden, he comes back around the corner, and he's like crawling, like, if y'all have seen that image of like the rake creature or whatever it's called, crawling in the woods, like, it was still him, but he was crawling like that, like coming back up the hill towards me, and I was like, okay, fuck this. And I woke myself up out of that dream at that point. So that was very creepy and odd, but that was one of the paranormal experiences that I had. Now, I woke myself up from that dream. It was like 3-4 o'clock in the morning after that took place. I got up for like a minute to like make sure I wouldn't go back into that dream. Then I was, laying back down to go back to sleep. As I was laying there, I heard in my ear, like I was still wide awake, I heard in my ear like a demonic breathing. Like I can't even, let me see if I can just try to mimic it for y'all real quick. Just in my ear. I was like, what the fuck? And I felt like it was him as well. Or, I don't know. I felt like it was connected to him because I had just woke up from that dream. But who knows, it could have been something else. But yeah, I heard that and I was like, okay, what the fuck? So again, I prayed to Hecate, and I was like sending white light out from my aura and all of that and banishing whatever it was. And I was fine after that. I went back to sleep and nothing happened. I don't know. That was just a very weird paranormal experience episode that I wanted to share with you guys, but definitely that was something that happened. And I really wanted to share this because some of you all have messaged me that you were experiencing spiritual attacks and stuff. Over the last few days, I feel like that is something that's common during this time. The veil is thin. Once again, whether you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, Samhain and Beltane, conversely, they're both times when the veil thins. So this is time when spirits come through. We have the spirits of the dead and things like that coming through. Also fairies, but with Beltane, it's more like fairies, things like that. But I think the ancestors and the dead can come through when the veil thins at that time as well. These are also times when rites of protection are done. What was that? I just saw someone walk by my window. It kind of tripped me out for a second. But it was just a person. But these are times when protection rites are done because of that aspect of the veil being thin. You don't want anything bad coming through. You do want to connect with, your ancestors, with your dead that are your allies, with your spirits, your fae, whatever that are your allies. But you definitely want to also protect yourself from any negative spirits coming through. And I feel like sometimes that's overlooked in the modern times, in modern, Sabbath traditions and magical practitioners. I feel like that's overlooked a little bit, that aspect of it. But definitely the veil thinning during these times, you definitely want to do extra protection work and targeted protection work to protect you from the not so good spirits that also try to come through and, get to you during this time and during these times of the year when the veil's thin. Just as a reminder to you all, you definitely want to make sure that you're doing your protection work at the same time that you're honoring those spirits that you want to connect with. You want to also protect yourself from those that you don't want to connect with during this time as well. Now, the next paranormal experience I want to talk about, y'all aren't going to know this, but to anyone who's in my Hecate Gnostic Circle group, you're going to remember the video that I just put out about the fairies and all of that, and what I was talking about with you guys about fairies and iron. Sorry about that. My mom traumatized me. She knocked on my window and scared the shit out of me. What was I talking about? The fairy situation. Oh yeah, so if you're in my Hecate Gnostic Circle group, you're gonna know the video that I just put out about fairies and talking about iron with the fairies and that whole thing. But this story is connected to that. Just for those of you who are in the know in the Hecate Gnostic Circle, this story's connected to that. I'm still gonna share it here just because, whether or not you know that information, it will still be a good paranormal experience to share with you all. So I've been trying to connect with fairies again. More, especially because it's Samhain and all of that, and the veil's thin, like I said. So I've been trying to connect with fairies more. I was trying to get rid of some pieces of iron that I had around my room, gathering up all the pieces and trying to remember, where's every little piece that's in my room. I was thinking about it for a couple days because, I have a lot of stuff in here, and I tend to place things in very peculiar places, especially when it comes to what I was doing with that iron in the first place. So I was trying to remember, where is all of these pieces? I found most of them, but I was I know that there's still a couple or a few around here that I can't remember where I placed. So that was in my mind, right? Well, I was actually over here on my bookshelf and I was working on this fairy doll at the time. Let me show you guys. I was working on her dress at the time, and I was messing with her dress and getting it how I wanted it to look and everything. I don't know if y'all can see it. So I have this necklace thing, but on the back here I had a piece of iron setting on the back of this, right? And I just totally had forgot about it. So see, that's what I was saying before. I set it in very peculiar places and just forget about it. So that's where there was a little piece of iron setting on the back of that necklace thing, right? And it was also setting right there. Well, out of nowhere, that thing just fell backwards. I was to the side of it working on the fairy doll, and it was on the side over there, and out of nowhere it just fell over backwards, and the little piece of iron that was on the back of the necklace thing fell off and clattered. And I was what was that? So I picked everything up, and then that's when I found the little piece of iron sitting there, and I was oh yeah, that's where I put it. So I'm sharing that story because I thought it was very peculiar and interesting. I felt like that was either this dark fairy or the fairies in general sort of showing me where that piece of iron was so that I could get rid of it. That was something I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys as well. I thought it was kind of like funny, but also, interesting, because I was trying to connect with the fairies. I was trying to gather all the iron, and then I couldn't find it, and then lo and behold, they showed me where it was so I could get rid of it. So I thought that was a very fun, little interesting story to share with you guys as well. Those are the main paranormal-esque experiences that I've had with the veil thinning and all of that. There actually was another story I wanted to share with you guys. You know what? Let me look it up exactly when it happened, because I posted about it on Facebook when it happened, and I was going to make a video about it for you guys, but then I just didn't. Shape shifter. So if you guys are on my Facebook, actually all the way back last year on September 8th, I made this post. I physically saw a shapeshifter entity, and I saw it shapeshifting as well. That's how I knew it was a shapeshifter in the first place. But I actually physically saw it with my eyes. It wasn't with my spiritual vision. Like usually I see spirits with my psychic mind. But no, I actually physically saw this with my eyes. And it was so trippy. But I wanted to go ahead and share it in this video because, like I said, I mentioned that I was going to make a video about it and share it with you guys. But I just never got around to doing it. But since I'm making a paranormal stories video here today, I figured I'll go ahead and finally talk about that. So yeah, it was basically a little over a year ago now, September 8th, 2020, when this happened. But I'm not sure. I kind of feel like it might have been a fairy, like a shape-shifting fairy. Who knows? But I kind of get that vibe from it. But I'll go ahead and share the experience now, though. So basically, it was 5 o'clock in the morning. I was woken up out of a dead sleep, out of nowhere. And I was like, there is something going on. And I don't know if you just heard my door just knocked. It just did it again. Hopefully you guys heard that. I was woken up out of a dead sleep. It was 5 o'clock in the morning, and I had this feeling like something's going on. There's something around or something. There's a spiritual significance to this. Because sometimes that happens. I will just get feelings that something magical is going on or something spiritual is going on, and then I start to pay attention. I start to look around to try to figure it out. And usually I will end up seeing something or experiencing something. That has happened a few times. I might as well include this in this paranormal story video too as well. One time I felt like someone was sending a curse at me. I just all of a sudden just got this feeling like someone was sending magic or trying to cast magic at me. And I was like, this is really weird. Why am I feeling this? And I started to look around and try to figure out, is there any signs that this is actually happening, or am I just tripping? And I looked outside my back door, because that's where I felt like I should go and look. And there was this huge raven just sitting right outside my back door, on the ground, standing there, right outside my back door. And it didn't fly away when I opened the door. It just was standing there, it was so creepy. And then I shut the door, and it was still there for 2 or 3 minutes. And then it finally went away. But I definitely was okay, someone was doing something then. So I definitely, did protection work and all of that, and reversal work and everything. But that's beside the point. But I just wanted to share that with you guys to demonstrate that I can sense when something's going on, and I look for signs to affirm that. And then, I use that information. Maybe that's a tidbit for you guys as well, but suffice to say, that's sort of how my magic works. Well, anyway, back to the shapeshifter story. I woke up at 5 a.m. I had that sort of a feeling. I didn't feel like someone was doing magic on me, but I felt like there was something magical going on. And I felt that sensation that I need to search for this source of this energy so I can figure out what it is. So once again, I ended up looking out my window, because that's where I felt I should look. And it was still dark outside, and I immediately saw this entity. So let me explain this to you all. There is an orange street light outside my house, in my backyard, and well, there's several, of course, but the way that it is set up, there is like a shadow cast in my yard, in my backyard, and everything else is illuminated with orange light, and then there's just like this one like line, it's like a pole shadow going through the yard, and it connects to like the shadow of the house itself. It looked like there was a silhouette of a small animal within of that pole shadow, avoiding the light, and it was walking down the shadow of the pole, and where it connected to the shadow of the house, it came out into that shadow. And I was like watching it. Okay, at first I was like, that's a cat. It looked like the silhouette of a cat, clear as day. I mean, it was inside of a shadow, but you could still see the darker silhouette of the animal. And at first I was like, am I really seeing this, or am I tripping out? Because it was in a shadow, it was very dark, but yet it did seem like there was a darker mass silhouetted of an animal. And first of all, I was like, I see this. And then I was like, am I really seeing this, or am I just tripping? Because it started to morph. That's when I was like starting to question, am I really even seeing a silhouette inside of the shadow, or am I just tripping? Because it started to morph into different animals. Like, it looked like a cat at first, and I was sure that that's what I saw. Then it started to look like it was changing into the silhouette of like a squirrel. And that's when I was like, okay, am I really seeing something? Then it looked like it was something more along the lines of like a ferret. Then it looked like the silhouette of like a skunk. Then it looked like a cat again. Like, it was like changing into these different animal shapes. I think it even looked like a raccoon at one point. I was like, what is going on? But it was so weird, guys, because it wasn't doing anything. It's like it walked down the shadow of the pole into the shadow of the house, and then it was just like standing there and changing into all of these different shapes and stuff. And I was like staring at it, and this went on for like 5 minutes solid, and I could see it. It was like walking around a little bit in the shadow of the house, not much. Like, it never went far from where the pole shadow touched the house shadow, like within 3 feet of that, but it was moving around a little bit, and enough to where I could definitely discern there's a silhouette moving around in the shadow. It was so weird, but after like 5 minutes of just watching it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna actually go turn on the back porch light and try to see if I can actually see something with the light on, instead of just looking out the window at these shadows. Yeah, I turned on the back porch light. I opened the door and I looked out to the exact spot where I was seeing whatever this was, and I saw this cat. It almost seemed like it just rose up out of the ground. And our grass is short back there, or was at the time. I saw, like I said, I saw like this cat like rise up, almost looked like it was materializing out of the ground. I've never seen anything like that before. And it was like a gray, what the hell are those cats? Like a Bengal cat? Is that what they're called? With those like very peculiar markings on it. It was like that type of cat, which those are expensive cats. Like, why would there just be one outside? But I swear, guys, it looked like it just rose up and materialized out of the ground. It didn't like stand up or run away. It was like crouched. Like, you know, when cats like crouch down, like it rose up into that position, and it was just there staring at me with like reflecting glowing eyes. And I was like, okay, weird. But yeah, that was a very bizarre experience, and I definitely saw its shadow, like, or silhouette, like transforming into all of these different creatures. But ironically enough, though, that was at a time as well when I was trying to connect with fairies. So I don't know if that was a fairy shape-shifting. Are there fairy cats? Guys, tell me, let me know. But it seemed like definitely it was shape-shifting, whatever it was. And I haven't seen anything like that since then. The only other thing similar at all to that I've ever seen, I've seen shape-shifting spirits with my psychic mind. But never physically. The only other time I physically saw something like that, I think I already shared it in one of my paranormal story videos previously, but it was the time that my whole family was like riding down the highway, and we saw the silhouette of a dog sitting in the middle of the highway at night. And as we got closer to it and our headlights were shining on it, it was like a white, tan, either or, because, you know, the headlights were on it. There were those orange, yellow colored headlights. So it could have been a white dog, but it also could have been like tan colored. Who knows? But we could see clearly that it was a dog sitting there. But then all of a sudden, as we got closer, it stood up, and it was a naked man, like an old, naked man, just in the middle of the highway. He had long white hair, really saggy old skin, very skinny. And yeah, this dog stood up, and then it was all of a sudden an old man naked in the middle of the highway, and he just like walked off the road into the woods. And we all saw it, and we were all freaking out. Like, we could not stop freaking out the whole rest of that car ride. But yeah, that was the only other time I've seen anything remotely shapeshifter-like physically in my life. That was when I was like a kid. And then, yeah, this other experience that I shared with you all just now. Hopefully you guys found that interesting as well. Let me know if you've ever seen anything like that as well, or what you think it might have been, if you know any mythology or mythical creatures or fae that take on that shape of like small animals or like a cat. Leave a comment below. I didn't really try to research it, but if you know, let me know if you've seen anything similar or what your ideas are of what it could have been. That is another thing too, though. I've been hearing weird like rustlings and sounds around the house, like banging. And it's really weird because most of the paranormal sounds that I hear in this house happen in my room, which I'm used to by now. Tapping on the walls, on the windows, the knocking on my altar or the mirror, or just different, all of those different sounds that you guys have witnessed with me over the years. That all takes place in my room. I rarely ever experience any paranormal sounds in the other parts of the house, but I have been lately, like I've been hearing bangs and stuff in the living room or in the kitchen or even in the bathroom. I was in the bathroom and I heard something in the shower, which is like probably all of our nightmares. I heard something rustling in the shower, and I was like, is one of the cats in there? So I like pulled the curtain back and there's nothing in there. And I was like, no, I heard the freaking shower curtain going and moving, but now I opened the curtain and there's nothing. So I closed it back. A few seconds later, I heard it again, and I was like, there is something in there. And I pulled the curtains back again, and I had like a better look. There was nothing in the shower, but it was like rustling in there. So that was really kind of funny, but also like disturbing as well. But I did experience that. And I don't know if you just heard that. There was a bang in the other room just now, and that's what I'm saying. I've been hearing that lately. I don't know what it is. My mom is outside right now, so it's not her. And I've been hearing something in my closet too. Like I heard things like dragging around in there, and I've heard that before in the past, but I haven't heard that in like almost a year or maybe even 2 at this point. I haven't heard anything in my closet. But I heard something in there the other day. It was like something was being dragged in there. So I have been hearing sounds and stuff. I don't know if it's really paranormal or if it's like just, you know, weird sounds. But I can say I've never heard sounds like these before in the other parts of the house. So I don't think it's normal. And the sounds in my closet, I'm absolutely sure that's paranormal, because there's no way that anything in there would be moving around by itself and sound like it's dragging on the shelf or something. So... and I wanted to show y'all this too. My mom gave me this really cool old bottle. Did y'all hear that? Anyway, my mom gave me this really cool old bottle. So I wanted to just show y'all that real quick. I think it's really cool. So, yeah. I don't know why I'm showing all that, but I just really like it. It's pretty. That's basically going to be all for this video, though. Just the noises. There's noises back there. Now, and my door just knocked. Did y'all hear that? That's going to be all, though. I just wanted to come on, do a little bit of a chit chat, paranormal stories, talk about some different things that's been going on, show y'all the doll, and all of that. Let me know if you've been experiencing any sort of paranormal stuff. Leave it in the comments. I love reading your stories as well. But yeah, that's going to be all for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, found it entertaining, and I hope that you guys are having a lot of fun with Samhain, Halloween, or Beltane vibes as well, whatever part of the world you're in. I'll see you guys on the next videos. As always, until next time, hail Hecate, hail to the witches, hail to the fairies, and blessed be.